Hi vinyl community, time for my monthly update of new records I've acquired this month. It's a few, a little bit of a stack, not loads and loads and loads compared to other months. I've reeled in my spending a little bit, but then I'm sure I'll pick up again, especially with certain box sets coming out later this year. So I'll dive straight in. And we'll see where we go. So the first thing, that one of the vinyl records that I detailed in previous videos was one by Pink Floyd called More. I had this on long-term loan from someone. I say long-term loan, it was about a month. And it was always the case that I was going to get myself a copy of it so that I could give the chap his back. He's got thousands of records, so he doesn't listen to things often. He listens to something every night. But so I've got my own actual copy of this now. So this is very underrated as far as the Floyd goes, and also in the vein of the other reissues that they've done. It sounds fantastic. There's a really high fidelity to it. The next one I got from a record seller on a market was a copy of Diamond Dogs by David Bowie. This is a censored version, so the original had a gatefold. This isn't an original. The original had a gatefold. This is a continental. It says Belgium, France, Italy, Netherlands, and well, that's it really. Printed in 1981, so it's 6 years after the original. The original had a gatefold, and it had some kind of, well, you can guess, in between his legs. The only reason I got this, I think it was about £5 or something. The main reason I got it is because it's pretty clean. It was pretty cheap. It's a black label, so it's a repress. And also I don't have a copy of it. Actually, for such a huge Bowie fan, and I am a huge Bowie fan, in terms of records, I have quite a few gaps in my collection. So this fills one of those gaps, so I'm really happy about that. The late 70s, mid to late 70s, I seem to be missing quite a lot of stuff, and I was accruing it bit by bit, and then Bowie went and died, and so prices just went crazy. I mean crazy. A copy of Heroes is like, 30 or 40 quid now. It's too much. It's just too much. I'll get it at some point. I've got it on CD. I've got a proper CD copy of almost all of his albums, so I'm happy that I've got them to listen to. I'm slowly getting them on vinyl. So I was really chuffed to get this. It was only a £5, so it's been listened to a number of times. It sounds fine. It's 80s, so it's a little bit flimsy, but it's great. It's a cracking album, based on a book by George Orwell called 1984. I'll talk more about Bowie in another video very soon, I think. At the end of July, so it's the middle of August now, at the end of July I left my last job, and as a leaving gift I was given some money by one of my colleagues to go and buy a record. That was the brief, and he left me in a record shop for a little bit, and the one I came out with was the Cheetah EP by Aphex Twin. Now this sounds like, well, I'll show you what it looks like. First of all, it's quite sickening in its cover. Horrible kind of blue, very light blue, very shiny inner blue sleeve, and then the record itself again has a blue label on it, download code as well. I haven't used that, that's why it's sitting there waiting for me to do it. The back of it makes you look dizzy if you look at it for too long. So this is his latest EP. I think this came out about a month and a half ago, and it's not like Cyro, the album he did previous to this. It's actually a bit more techno-y, I suppose the word would be. It sounds like something he did in the kind of maybe the mid-90s and never got around to finishing, and he's revisited. So it's very beat driven, very glitchy as you expect, but there's none of the kind of acoustic instruments being recorded and manipulated like there has been in his more recent releases. Worth picking up. It wasn't that expensive, so I was quite happy with that. So I left my job on the Wednesday, was my last day, and so on the Thursday I went to a town near to me where there's a number of charity shops and record sellers and stuff. Had a little route around so I could find, and I came home with the following. First of all, I got this. This is the Best of the Doors. Cost me £2, which is nothing really. It's fairly clean. There's Jim Morrison there, look. And now on their back catalogue, this is on the inner bag, I've got Strange Days. Where's that? There it is. I've got Morrison Hotel, and I've got LA Woman. So I've got those three. So why did I pick this up? Well, it was only £2, so it was dead cheap. And also, if you look at the track listing, Hello, I Love You, Light My Fire, People Are Strange, Love Me Two Times, and Riders on the Storm, that's side A. Actually, it's a really strong best of. So I've spun that a number of times, and it's not one I'll sit and listen to intently, because I understand these aren't from the albums, that they're sitting next to the tracks from other albums. So I don't listen to the track listing as such, I just put it on for enjoyment. And so this was great. I was really glad I picked this up for a couple of quid. Also on side B, Break On Through, Roadhouse Blues, Not to Touch the Earth, Touch Me and Ellie Woman. So that was not bad for £2. Another £2 purchase was Tutu by Miles Davis. So it's the original one because it's got a nice big sticker on it there, and it's got a nice big sticker on it there. The later ones have just got them kind of as part of the sleeve. There's a French pressing, and it's 1986 Miles Davis. It's a bit, it's a bit 80s-tastic. I wouldn't say it's aged well. I know this album already. I'm a trumpeter, so Miles Davis is kind of stock repertoire for me to listen to. But it's one that I didn't have on vinyl. Nice, clean, original pressing. £2. You can't really fault it. It's not to everybody's taste. I do recommend you go and have a listen to it on YouTube, maybe. See what you think. But that's another £2 purchase. Another one that I got that I was really chuffed with was this one. This is a guy called Dudley Moore. This is the Dudley Moore Trio from Beyond the Fringe. That's lots of pictures of him. It's on Atlantic, so I'll show you the label because I love this label. What's this? It's 1970. This is. It's a mono record in 1970. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that seems quite late for mono records. I think most things are stereo by then. Obviously, there are still mono records produced even now, but for an original mono, I thought that was a bit late. But there we go. There's the label. I love that label. I love the print. I love the font. I love the big chunky nature of the vinyl. So Dudley Moore was a piano player, come comedian, come actor. You might, if you've seen Santa Claus the movie, you'll know him from that. He was the elf in that, and several other things. It's a shame if that's the only thing you know him for. He's a fantastically accomplished piano player, and I do urge you to go onto YouTube and put in Dudley Moore, not the trio, just Dudley Moore from Beyond the Fringe, and watch some of his comedy skits because they're brilliant. I was watching some with a friend just last week. He also did something called Derek and Clive with a guy called Peter Cook, which is where the two of them just sat there and rambled on, being extremely offensive to anybody that listens. But it's very funny, especially for the 60s. Most of it is. There's some dodgy bits for me. So this, I was really chuffed to pick this up. Again, I think this was £3. It sounds minty. I don't think really anybody's played it, and if they have, it's been played very carefully by one careful owner. Done only a few miles. Lovely old label, lovely sleeve. I was really happy with that. I'm really happy with that. And then, oh yeah, this one, yeah, I forgot about this. In the same shop that I got that, I picked this up for 50p. So it's just a little 7-inch. You can already see it's got the two-tone label on it. Now it's interesting, this is the paper label rather than later on two-tone went into kind of these moulded labels with two-tone written on them. This is an early one. Oh, excuse me, late night. 1979, and this is by the Special AKA, or Specials, as they become known very shortly afterwards, and it's called Gangsters. This is their first single, and then on the flip side is a song by the Selector. That's a ska band around Onshoot, two-tone of course, same time fronted by a lady called Pauline Black, and the Selector, self-titled track, the Selector is on the other side. That's an instrumental. This is, I wouldn't say this is super rare, but you know, to find it for 50p is quite rare, I think. I have got a copy of this downstairs in my rack, but I've got a slightly later version of it with the plastic, so I was really happy to find this. The only thing that's not original is the bag. So they came with two-tone sleeves, which you might have seen. If you haven't, leave me a comment. I'll put a photo in the comments or something. But the very first presses, which this one is, had kind of like a stamp on there, the Special AKA versus the Selector, which is a shame it didn't have the bag, but to be honest with you, for 50p, I'm not complaining. And that was from the same shop as the Doors that I found. Quite happy with that. Now, what is it, middle of August now, so last week, a very dear friend of mine called Pete, I mentioned Pete before in a video when he got me the blue Manix one I put it in the post, came down to visit. I haven't actually seen him across the table to chat to in about 11 years, so it was lovely to see him. Lovely to see you, Pete, if you're watching. And he, when he came down, he bought some records, bought a guitar, and we had a little jam and a listen and a drink and a smoke and whatnot. And so one of the things he left with me, now this isn't mine, this is his, but he's left it with me to listen to, is a copy of A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. It's an early copy, it's a mono. It's an early one, so you've got the flip back sleeves. It's in a little bit of a state, it's a little bit tatty, it's been well loved by an owner before Pete, and then Pete as well. Now I did say to Pete a couple of weeks ago, I like the Beatles. The Beatles are great. I've got enough of their catalogue to say that I've got enough of their catalogue. So I didn't have a lot of experience of their early stuff, and I always thought that their early stuff was a little bit tween, a little bit beat, and it just wasn't for me. I see it's important, so I understand that, but it just wasn't something that I really went for. And so he bought this on purpose to leave with me, to let me listen to and digest, because he thinks this is the pick of their early albums. This is the guy that on Sporkle could name all but one of their album track, studio album tracks. 139 of them. He got 138 in 8 minutes. So this guy knows his Beatles. So he's left that one with me. So it's quite an early pressing, so I'm told. There's the label. It's there. I won't go into too much detail. I've listened to it a couple of times. I really like it, and yes, Pete, leaving it with me was a good idea, because it is growing on me. I will have to get myself a copy of this. Maybe, I know that they've done them all in mono, all the mono ones. Brings me to the next point. So that was last week when Pete came to visit, and then yesterday a parcel came through the post. I have no idea what this was. What could it be? Haven't ordered any vinyl, so it's not something I was expecting. And me and Pete had a conversation when he was down here, and we were looking through what I've got of the Beatles. I've got a stereo version of Sgt. Pepper's downstairs, and he said, "Oh, you really need to listen to that in mono." Well, okay, yeah, it's just I can't put it high enough on my list of priorities, just because there's so many other things I need to buy, and I've got a copy of Sgt. Pepper, so I can listen to it. He said, "No, you need to listen to it in mono. It sounds completely different." And that was that conversation, and we moved on with the conversation. And then this arrived through the post yesterday. What can I say, Pete? Blown away. Absolutely chuffed. So this is the remastered version. I know they did a Beatles mono box. I've taken the cellophane off because I've listened to it. The Beatles mono box came out a couple of years ago, and they remastered from the original tapes using just an analog source, I think it was. And I've got another friend at Russ who says that the remasters are among the best he's ever heard. So this is the Sgt. Pepper's mono version. And it sounds amazing, and you know what, it does sound completely different from the stereo. Particular highlights, songwriting wise, there's a lot of highlights. A lot of the songs. I think A Day in the Life sounds fantastic in mono, absolutely fantastic. And I really enjoyed A Little Help from My Friends and Fixing a Hole on side A. I don't know, for some reason they just sounded a bit different. So there it is. It's got a nice shiny cover. It's got the nice big picture on the inside on the gatefold. I'll show you the record very quickly. I won't get the whole record out, but I'll show you the label. There we go. That's the label. And what's also quite cool, as with most of these reissues that starting to happen now, they've kind of replicated everything that came with the original. So you've got the original in a bag, which is kind of almost like a fiery motif, and then there's this kind of cardboard cutout. I imagine in, was it 67 when this came out, you'd probably find a lot of youngsters getting this and cutting it up. Little did they know that there's virtually none of those left now. And the last thing that's in there is just a little card, just giving you a few details about it, which is quite nice actually. Some mastering notes and stuff like that. So that's that. So I was absolutely chuffed and blown away with that. Like, still am. And I'm going to go and listen to it again in a minute, I think. So thanks, Pete. Big thumbs up. I'll put his his YouTube channel on my things. Although you need to make some videos, really. So that's it. That's what I've accrued since the kind of middle of July to the middle of August 2016. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, as always, if there's anything you want to say about anything that I've looked at or talked about, please just type it in the comments, or send me a message or whatever. I'm on Twitter as well. Again, I'll put that in the video so you can see where I am on Twitter to come and have a chat with me about anything that I talk about. And I'm gonna bid you farewell, and I'm gonna go and play Sgt. Pepper's once more. And then next on my list of things to listen to today is Low by Bowie. Okay, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye now.